Hello, this is Kendra with the Smoky Signal. Today we're continuing our candidate interview series to help inform voters about the individuals running for local office. The county clerk plays an important role in serving the public, including handling vehicle registrations, licenses, official records, and more. Today I'm speaking with Logan Baker, who is running for county clerk. Thank you for taking the time to speak with me today.
Yes, thank you for having me today.
Absolutely. So what is your background? Tell us about yourself.
Sure. So I'm born and raised here in Sevier County. It's my home. My entire family's from Sevier County. I'm Sevier County as it gets. I went to Pigeon Forge High School, graduated there in 2010. Went on to get my MBA from East Tennessee State University. Spent the early part of my career in marketing in the hospitality industry in Pigeon Forge and Sevierville. Then moved to operations in the hospitality industry and spent about 8 years there. Then moved in the last 3 years to the financial sector, and so I'm now a conservative wealth advisor for myself. I represent about 15 national carriers. I work with CPAs in the small business space, showing small businesses how to mitigate their tax liability, and I work with attorneys in the estate planning space to show people how to implement certain financial products to mitigate taxes for themselves and their heirs and to set themselves up for success and how to pass generational wealth.
So Logan, what motivated you to run for county clerk?
Well, I've always been about community service and finding opportunities to serve my community well. I love this community and love the people. And so I saw a place where I could come and be a part of this race to better our county clerk's office for our neighbors.
Okay. So what experience do you feel like you have that prepares you for this role?
Well, while a lot of questions are asked about and statements are said about me not having a day's experience in the office, and while that's very true and I respect those statements and questions, I have private sector experience that makes me capable of going in there and leading and doing a great job, because I don't have to be the best title clerk on day one or know exactly how to process a passport on day one or whatever the task might be. I have to go in there and be willing to listen and find ways to operate the office better and to provide a level of service that our neighbors deserve.
Okay, so what steps have you taken to learn how the clerk's office operates?
So I've actually visited almost all of the neighboring counties' clerk's office and sat in with them, saw kind of how they handled certain processes and procedures. And I've also went back and visited with our prior county clerks and just got, different pieces of information from them and tried to really educate myself as much as possible on all the duties of the clerk's office.
Okay. So what do you believe are the most important responsibilities of the county clerk?
The most important responsibility of the county clerk is to serve our neighbors well and to give them the service that they deserve, and to make sure that we have accountability and transparency in the office, and that we manage the funds that come through that office well, and that we have great reconciliation processes, audits, and that we're ready at any time that the comptrollers were to come in to take a look at our books.
Now, I know you said that you wanted to add kiosk in the rural areas and, maybe some self-kiosk in the courthouse there, but is there any other way you would improve efficiency in customer service?
So I think that in customer service right now, our wait times are very long, and I think that we need to study our high volume times to know when we need to have the proper staff at the proper windows. But I also think that to improve the efficiency is by spreading out the volume from one central location. So we have a Pigeon Forge office and a Gatlinburg office. The Pigeon Forge office is only open on Saturdays from 9 to 1. Gatlinburg is only open just a couple of days a week and closes at 3:45. Most people work past then. And so it's looking at areas to where we can make those locations open full time. Look at adding a satellite office in Seymour. And if you have those three locations operating at full time, you could potentially pull 30 or 40% of the volume off of your main location down here at the courthouse. And so by doing so, obviously, those processes and that business that they're coming in to take care of could move quicker.
Do you think it would be in the budget to run the Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg locations full time and adding a satellite location in Seymour? Would it fit in the budget?
So the county already has the Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg offices. They're already being paid for. The Seymour office, we're obviously going to have to work with Budget Committee, County Commission, and the next county mayor to make sure that we can secure the funds to be able to lease an office down there to make that happen. And then as far as staffing, it's mentioned to me like, well, you've got to hire more people. Well, not necessarily. Somewhere between 18 and 22 clerks are what's on the staff. And so by pulling volume off of the main location, you can stand to have employees at those other spots and not have to hire new people. So it wouldn't be like that we'd be raising the budget line for salaries because we're going to be using the same team. So touching on when people say, how are you going to extend hours? Well, we've got to have the ability to open earlier for our neighbors that work night shift or start their day early. We've got to be able to stay later. So when people work through the week during normal business hours, they have an option to come later and take care of their business. And it's not anything that's going to be reinventing the wheel. It's a matter of just working with the sheriff at the courthouse location to make sure that we can get a security officer to stay a couple hours later one day a week to leave that office open later. And a matter of having personnel near the drive-through earlier to where we could open the drive-through at 7 a.m. Rather than 7:45. So really easy for us to do. We've got to make our options available and better for people to serve them during their timetable. It shouldn't take somebody having to ask off work just to come take care of basic services. And furthermore, in the rural areas, we need to look at taking one day a month and going out to those communities and setting up and going to where they're at to show them, hey, we work for you. We want to come out here to where you're at to try to cut down your time. We respect your time. And we should always be looking at ways to improve how we meet our neighbors where they're at.
How would you manage and lead the clerk's office staff?
Well, first I would, again, like I've said, I would lead by listening to them, letting them be heard, letting them give me their feedback, asking them, how can we make things better? What's slowing you down? What would be best for our neighbors? And I think by doing that and letting them know that I have their back, that I can trust them to use their experience and do the job, all while they're out here, giving the neighbors their best. And also by being out there with them in the front, not hiding behind a desk in my office, being out there with them to say, hey, I'm right here with you and we're going to deliver the best for our neighbors together.
What do you think would be your top priority if you were elected?
My top priorities, as I've mentioned, are, again, to elevate our level of service to what I know that it can be, to what our neighbors deserve, where they're treated like neighbors and not numbers. And that's every single day, not just during election season. And that's providing better access across the county. As I said, opening Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg full time, working toward that Seymour location for those neighbors down there that take 2 hours out of their day to come do basic business. Having some kiosks available in other rural parts, and that's not kiosks like right now we have one, and it's at the Seymour Library. Well, the Seymour Library is only open on average from 10 to 6, Monday through Friday, closed on weekends. And neighbors don't find themselves at the Seymour Library all the time. These kiosks need to be in places where people are at, like partnering with local grocery stores like other counties do. People are there a lot more often. They're open longer hours. Put those kiosks there and meet people where they're at. Open earlier. Have a day that's dedicated to staying later, to where when people get off, they can come take care of business. And then again, modernizing our systems to be able to move forward with the times. And I feel like that the experience thing is thrown at me, but when you have somebody that's been there so long and has said experience, they don't really see the areas where they can improve, and that's what fresh perspective brings. And also, in a broken culture right now that we see with our great staff with lots of turnover, experience can't fix a broken culture. Leadership can, and I'm a natural born leader, and that's what I bring to the office.
Why should voters choose you over a candidate with prior experience?
So I would ask the voters and neighbors that are listening to this to choose me because I come in with a fresh perspective, with private sector experience, and coming in and being able to see the office, brand new with new vision. And again, when somebody has been in that office for such a long time, it's hard to see areas that need to change. A fresh set of eyes is good for all people. And I'll say from people saying, well, he doesn't have a day's experience. Well, when presidents and governors are elected, they don't come in having experience in every single department. They come in willing to listen and willing to listen to feedback from from people in those departments and put people in place to lead those departments in an effective way.
How will you ensure transparency and accountability there?
We're going to ensure transparency and accountability by being upfront with our communication with our neighbors. And so that's with improving our social channels to make sure that our social channel is not promoting a person, it's promoting actually what's going on with the office. It's about implementing a CRM system, a customer relations management system, to where we can email and text our neighbors and let them know, whether it's a quarterly newsletter or what have you, of things that are going on in the office. And holding each other accountable, it's about having the processes and procedure in place to have each department to where they're held accountable and where they're expected to deliver on a certain level of service every day. And it's about having those meetings and those roundtables with staff on how we can do better for our neighbors that lead us to having better transparency and accountability.
Now, if you're elected, what's going to be your plans with the current employees there?
Yeah, so current employees, it's been said that quite a few places that I'm going to come in and clean house. That's not what I wish to do. We have great people that work there. I want to come in and stand beside them and listen to them and to improve them and to help them with proper training to where they can be cross-trained in departments, to where when somebody walks up to the window, they don't have to say, you have to go down there. They can just handle it right there, where they know that somebody has their back, appreciates them, respects them. And so I want to keep them. But then where there's openings, whether it be current openings now because we've had a turnover in staff, or openings that come up, I want to fill those openings with experience. There are great people that have left that office on bad terms with the current clerk that are either still in other departments of the courthouse or have left that would like to come back and serve our neighbors. And so I think it's important that we fill some of those open positions with experience so they can also be mentors for newer staff that we have now. But no means am I going to go in there and fire anyone. Everybody's going to be given a fair chance.
In the past, you ran for city council in Pigeon Forge. You weren't elected either time. What did you learn from that?
I was young at the time. That was in 2017 and 2019. And so I learned on how to properly run a campaign and how it's very important to stay above board and to not get down in the ditch. Even though you might be passionate about certain issues, it's best to talk your vision, your ideas, and to let the neighbors and voters have that option out there for someone else. And so while I wasn't successful in those elections, a lot of the ideas and visions that I put forward were actually over time and even up to this day have been implemented by the current county commission. And the two individuals that I ran against are actually supporting my campaign and helping me win this election.
Will you recommend the tax-paying chapels for marriages instead of local commissioners who take donations, which is not a taxable revenue?
Well, so I have met with the Smoky Mountain Wedding Association, and they have vendor lists for ordained ministers, for venues, for decor vendors and things. And so I would want to work with them to get their list of their people, and so we could have something to be able to hand out to people and to even have on our website, to where when people are looking for that kind of info, they have options. As far as county commissioners go, yes, they're able to marry people. I don't think it's my job to tell them if they can or can't, but if we can certainly have the information available to where people can make their own choice, I think that's the best option.
What do you believe the clerk's office is currently doing well?
Well, I believe that we have a great group of individuals on that staff inside the county clerk's office that show up every day to try to do the job best they can. And I think the current county clerk has taken steps to try to do a few things to improve the office. But it's hard for me, I guess, to find spots that they're doing just incredibly well, because I see so many areas that I notice and need improvement. And so really that's what I'm focusing on the most.
So what improvements would you like to make if elected?
Sure. So that office has a proud tradition of providing an unmatched level of service to our neighbors. And I personally feel like that level of service has declined over the last 3 to 4 years. And so we've got to go in there, and it's about culture first. You've got to go in and improve the workplace environment, which is right now very unhealthy. You have to make sure that employees are listened to, heard, appreciated, and supported. And then that translates to the front line. and how they take care of our neighbors. And neighbors, when they come in, their time has to be respected. So we have to work on our wait times, and we have to make sure that they know that they're being treated like a neighbor and not just a number. We've got to be able to improve our access. People meet people where they are. Their time is important, as I've said, and we have to have our services in the locations to meet them where they're at, whether that be maybe expanding and extending hours in our current satellite locations, adding a satellite location, adding kiosks in other parts of the rural parts of the county. And then I think on top of that, we have to continue to modernize our systems and bring them up with the times. And by doing that, we have to look at our web services. It's technology is the ruler of the world, it seems now. And so we have to look at trying to inform the people and educate them before they ever come to our office. My background in hospitality, when visitors are coming to this area, we need to give them as much information as possible before they come to us, so they know everything that they need to know. And that also cuts down on time at the counter, because the more they know ahead of time, the more they can do ahead of time. It saves us time in person.
What is the plan to ensure taxpayer money are managed responsibly within the office while maintaining a high service standard?
So that's an important question, and I believe that my background as a wealth advisor gives me the experience to handle that part of the job well. The county clerk's office is to act as a fiduciary for the funds that come in, but also fiduciary in probate, a segment of our office that we oversee, in that if there is a minor involved in one of those probate cases, it's our job as the county clerk's office to be their fiduciary to make sure that those funds are well taken care of and are put into proper products in order to get the best interest possible until that minor is of age to take over those funds themselves. So definitely an important part.
Do you have any new services that you want to bring to the offices?
Absolutely. So I want to look at bringing in temporary tag services. Right now, when somebody sells a vehicle to an out-of-town or out-of-state individual, they have to go to a neighboring county, either Knox County or Jefferson County, to get that temporary tag, which that makes money leave our county that we could be taking in here. So we want to implement temporary tags. We also want to bring back the ability to issue hunting and fishing licenses. That's important for our neighbors' convenience, but also for our visitors, because when our visitors come here, they want to fish in our streams. And so if our locations, especially in Pigeon Forge and Gatlinburg, could offer that, I see that as a great opportunity. I want to also bring back our dealer services department. When dealers bring new title work in, we have dedicated employees that are taking care of their work in a timely manner and get back to printing titles in a timely manner.
Is there anything else you would like the voters to know?
I just want the voters to know that my true heartbeat behind this is I'm not chasing a title, I'm not chasing status, that I'm just doing this to leave the private sector and serve my neighbors well, and that I want to come in here and provide a fresh perspective with new ideas, support the wonderful staff that we have now, bring experience back, listen to other county clerks around our county that have experience, listen to county clerks before us that have experience on how we can make it better, listen to our neighbors on how they think that we can make it better. And none of this that I'm coming in, with some sort of personal vendetta or in a fire staff or anything like that. I'm truly just looking at coming in with fresh new ideas to better our clerk's office and to set the standard that our clerk's office will be the example for the entire state of Tennessee, that we're going to be professional, respectful, and welcoming every single day.